All right, so get ready because today we're going to take a deep dive into a story that's really inspiring and honestly kind of wild.
Yeah.
We're going deep on David Goggins' autobiography,
Yeah.
Can't Hurt Me.
Okay.
I got to say, this is not your typical self-help book.
No, you're right. It's raw.
Yeah.
Unflinching Goggins lays everything out there.
Yeah, he does.
The good, the bad, and the truly unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's a powerful testament to what the human spirit can endure.
Absolutely.
And more importantly, overcome.
To give you an idea, Goggins' childhood was rough.
Yeah.
We're talking poverty, abuse, and
Mm.
facing the harsh realities of racial prejudice in America.
Wow.
He grew up in Buffalo, New York, where his father ran a roller rink.
Oh, wow.
But the family business wasn't exactly a happy place.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
The roller rink kind of becomes a symbol of this contrast
Oh, yeah.
between outward appearances and the dark secrets hidden beneath the surface.
Right.
Goggins' father, Trunus, was a successful businessman,
Uh-huh.
but behind closed doors, he was abusive and controlling.
Yeah. Goggins doesn't hold back in describing the level of abuse he endured.
Right.
He talks about being forced to strip naked before beatings, witnessing his mother's abuse, and even being abandoned at a hotel with only a few pennies to their name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's heavy stuff.
It is, and understanding the depth of that trauma is crucial to understanding Goggins' later transformation.
Yeah.
He doesn't shy away from his past.
No.
He uses it,
True.
channels that pain into a source of almost unbelievable strength.
It's almost like he weaponized his pain,
Right? Precisely.
turning something negative into a driving force for change.
And it's not a quick fix either.
Right.
Goggins and his mother eventually escaped to Indiana,
Right.
but the scars of his childhood remained.
Right.
He struggled academically, even resorting to cheating his way through school.
Wow.
It seems like for a while he was just adrift searching for direction.
Yeah, I was fascinated by his story about how he spent more time researching how to talk trash on the basketball court
Really?
than he did on his actual studies.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It speaks to a lack of purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That searching for meaning and validation in the wrong places.
Totally. But then, as often happens in life, there's a turning point.
Okay.
He stumbles upon information about pararescue jumpers in the Air Force. And here's this incredible story about Scott Guerin,
Oh, wow.
a pararescueman who survived a near-fatal accident during a high-altitude jump.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like a spark ignites,
Yeah.
but it's not a raging fire just yet.
Right.
It takes a harsh reality check for Goggins to really commit to change.
Oh, yeah.
He receives a letter from his school outlining his abysmal academic performance.
Oh, no.
It's a wake-up call, forcing him to confront the consequences of his actions.
He really takes that letter to heart.
Does he?
Yeah, almost overnight, he transforms from slacker to this hyper-disciplined machine.
Wow.
It's incredible how he throws himself into intense, studying, crazy workouts.
Yeah.
This whole new version of himself, all fueled by this newfound fear of failure.
It's fascinating to see how he flips that switch.
Yeah.
He decides he's done being defined by his past.
Right.
He's going to use those experiences as fuel to create a different future.
And that future leads him straight to the Navy SEALs.
Oh, wow.
What's amazing is that he was significantly overweight at this point,
Really?
but he managed to shed over 100 pounds in just 3 months to even qualify.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
We see here the incredible lengths Goggins is willing to go to achieve his goals. It's not just about setting goals. It's
Yeah.
about completely overhauling his entire being, mind, and body
Yeah.
to meet them.
But it's more than just weight loss.
Okay.
He had to confront his deep-seated fear of water, pushing through panic attacks to pass the SEAL drown-proofing test.
Oh, gosh.
Then he had to survive Hell Week.
Yeah.
What I found almost impossible to believe was that he actually ran for miles on broken legs during that notoriously brutal selection process,
Wow.
pushing through sleep deprivation that most of us can't even imagine.
This is where we see the concept of callousing the mind in action.
Okay.
He deliberately seeks out discomfort, building this incredible mental resilience.
Right.
By repeatedly exposing himself to pain,
Mm-hmm.
pushing himself beyond what he thought was even possible.
It's almost like he's trying to build a tolerance to suffering, right?
Exactly.
Like the more he experiences it, the less power it has over him.
He's training his mind to withstand anything.
Yeah.
And he even finds inspiration in others going through the same crucible.
Oh, really?
There's this powerful story about a guy in his SEAL class named Bill Brown,
Okay.
nicknamed Freak Brown,
Okay.
who also had an incredibly tough upbringing.
Okay.
He was bullied, spent time in a youth detention center.
Wow.
But he, too, found purpose and belonging in the SEALs.
Yeah.
He even taught himself to swim just to qualify.
It's like Goggins attracts these incredible stories of resilience.
Right.
These individuals who have stared down adversity and come out stronger on the other side.
Yep.
It makes you wonder if there's something about pushing yourself to the limit that draws these kinds of people together.
There's definitely a shared understanding.
Yeah.
A bond forged in the fires of hardship.
Right.
It's like they're feeding off each other's energy, finding strength in the collective struggle.
And that shared struggle pushes them to achieve things that most people wouldn't even attempt.
Yeah.
Later on, Goggins becomes an ultramarathon runner, taking on grueling races like the Badwater 135.
Wow.
Which takes place in the blistering heat of Death Valley.
It's almost like he's intentionally choosing the most extreme conditions, the toughest challenges, as if to prove something not just to himself, but to anyone who ever doubted him.
His first attempt at a 100-mile run is pretty legendary, too.
Is it?
The one where he prepped by watching the entire Rocky movie marathon.
Oh, yeah.
Even though he didn't quite make the full 24 hours. It was still an incredible feat of willpower.
It speaks to his mindset, right?
Yeah.
That absolute refusal to give up, even when the odds are stacked against him.
Right.
But it's not all brute force with Goggins.
No.
He's incredibly strategic about his mental game, too.
Oh, right.
He's a big believer in visualization, mentally rehearsing challenging situations, and really digging deep to understand his own motivations.
And this is where his cookie jar concept comes in, right?
Yes.
It's like a mental storehouse of his past successes that he draws on when things get tough.
Think of it as a mental scrapbook of your triumphs.
Okay.
When you're facing a challenge, you can open this scrapbook.
Right.
And remind yourself of what you've already overcome.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool for boosting confidence and motivation.
So we've got this guy who's physically and mentally pushing himself beyond what most people could even fathom.
Yeah.
Then he decides to take on the Hurt 100, an ultramarathon, known for its crazy elevation game.
Wow.
And if that's not enough, he follows that up with the Ultraman World Championship, a multi-day endurance race that pushes him to the absolute breaking point.
The Ultraman is like a microcosm of Goggins' entire philosophy.
Right.
A testament to his relentless pursuit of pushing boundaries. He's not just competing against other athletes.
Right.
He's battling his own doubts, his own physical limitations, and pushing himself to the point of near collapse.
And what's truly mind-blowing is that he achieved all of this while unknowingly living with a serious heart condition.
Oh, wow.
He had this undiagnosed atrial septal defect, basically a hole in his heart.
Oh, my God.
Which could have been fatal at any moment.
Wow.
It was only discovered after a near-death experience.
Jeez.
And he had to undergo surgery to repair it.
This highlights a key point Goggins makes. We often underestimate our own potential. He achieved extraordinary things despite a serious health issue, proving that limitations are often self-imposed.
Yeah. Wow, absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, incredible story.
Yeah, it is.
Crazy. It really makes you wonder what you're capable of, right? I mean, here's a guy accomplishing these incredible feats of strength and endurance with a literal hole in his heart. It's like he's rewriting the rules of what's humanly possible.
And that's a core part of Goggins' message. He firmly believes that talent and genetics aren't the primary drivers of success. He argues that anyone, regardless of their background or physical abilities, can achieve extraordinary things through sheer willpower and mental discipline.
It's a pretty radical concept, but it's also incredibly inspiring. It's like he's saying, look, if I can do this with all the challenges I've faced, imagine what you can accomplish if you really commit to pushing your own boundaries.
He's not suggesting that everyone should become a Navy SEAL or an ultramarathon runner. What he's advocating for is a mindset of constant self-improvement, of relentlessly seeking out challenges and breaking through self-imposed limitations.
And he doesn't just stop with the SEALs and ultramarathons, right? He goes on to try and break the pull-up world record, which, as you might expect, comes with its own set of unexpected challenges and valuable lessons. He even starts exploring new activities like rock climbing and freediving, constantly looking for new ways to test himself.
What's fascinating is that even after achieving what most people would consider a lifetime's worth of accomplishments, Goggins never stops pushing, never stops seeking new ways to grow. There's this insatiable drive, this hunger for self-improvement that seems to permeate every aspect of his life.
But it's not just about physical challenges, is it? Goggins also emphasizes the importance of connection and reconciliation. He talks about reconnecting with his brother after years of estrangement and the profound impact of forgiveness.
And it's not just about interpersonal relationships. Goggins also talks about the importance of reconciling with yourself, of forgiving yourself for past mistakes and using those experiences as fuel for growth.
He's a huge advocate for self-awareness, isn't he? Like really taking stock of your strengths and weaknesses instead of shying away from those weaknesses, attacking them head on.
Absolutely. Goggins believes that confronting your weaknesses is essential to unlocking your true potential. He calls it removing the governor from your brain, essentially breaking free from the self-imposed limits that hold us back.
And he offers some pretty concrete strategies for how to do that right, like that 5 to 10% rule he talks about.
Yes. He challenges you to push past your perceived limits incrementally, whether it's running a little further, doing a few more push-ups, or taking on a task that intimidates you. It's about gradually expanding your comfort zone and proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you think.
I love how he ties this back to his SEAL training. He mentions that in the military, they always say, we don't rise to the level of our expectations, we fall to the level of our training. Basically, you're only as good as the work you put in both mentally and physically.
And that's a powerful takeaway for anyone, not just aspiring SEALs. If you want to achieve extraordinary things, you have to prepare for it, train for it both mentally and physically. You have to build the resilience to overcome challenges and the mental fortitude to push through when things get tough.
Goggins emphasizes mental preparation a lot, doesn't he? He talks about the importance of visualizing success, of having a crystal clear understanding of your why, your driving force.
Absolutely. Goggins is a firm believer in the power of the mind. He argues that if you can control your thoughts, you can control your actions. He also stresses the importance of self-talk, of using positive affirmations to build confidence and quiet those nagging voices of self-doubt.
And this is where the cookie jar comes into play, right?
Yeah.
When those negative thoughts start creeping in, you can pull out a memory of a past success and use it to fuel you forward. It's like a mental boost, a reminder of what you're capable of.
Exactly. The cookie jar is a practical tool for overcoming those inevitable moments of self-doubt that we all face. It's a reminder that we've overcome challenges before, and we have the strength to do it again.
But Goggins doesn't shy away from discussing his failures either. He goes into detail about his attempt to break the pull-up world record and how, despite all his meticulous preparation, things didn't go according to plan.
And what's admirable is that he doesn't deflect blame or make excuses. He takes full responsibility for the outcome, analyzes what went wrong, and uses it as an opportunity to learn and grow. He even admits that he let his ego get in the way, that he wasn't as focused as he should have been.
He's got some strong opinions about entitlement, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's basically saying that you can't just expect success to be handed to you. You have to earn it through hard work, dedication, and a willingness to embrace the grind.
That's a consistent theme throughout his book. Goggins is a staunch advocate for hard work and unwavering dedication. He believes that there are no shortcuts to achieving extraordinary things. You have to be willing to put in the effort to embrace the challenges, to persevere, even when you feel like giving up.
And it's not just about physical effort, is it? He's really emphasizing the importance of mental toughness, of pushing through pain and discomfort, of viewing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to be avoided.
Right. It's a demanding philosophy, but it's also incredibly empowering. Goggins is essentially saying that we have more control over our lives than we often realize if we're willing to step up and do the work both internally and externally.
So how do we translate this into our own lives? I mean, most of us aren't Navy SEALs or ultramarathon runners. How can we take these lessons from Goggins' extreme experiences and apply them to our everyday lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Goggins' story may seem extreme, larger than life, but the underlying principles are universal. It's about cultivating self-awareness, building discipline, developing resilience, and most importantly, aligning your actions with your purpose.
He talks about starting small, right? Like taking a good look at your current habits, identifying areas where you're wasting time or energy, and making gradual but consistent changes.
Exactly. It's not about making radical overnight transformations. It's about setting realistic goals, building momentum, and embracing a mindset of continuous improvement. Small steps taken consistently can lead to significant progress over time.
He also encourages people to step outside their comfort zones, to challenge themselves in new and maybe even slightly uncomfortable ways.
That's key, whether it's taking on a new project at work, learning a new skill, or finally having that difficult conversation you've been putting off. It's about confronting your fears and proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you think.
And this is where his idea of callousing the mind comes in, right? The more we expose ourselves to discomfort, the more resilient we become.
Precisely. It's about building that mental toughness by repeatedly pushing beyond our perceived limits. We develop the ability to handle whatever life throws our way, the ups and downs, the challenges and setbacks, with greater strength and composure.
So it's like mental weight training, right? The
Yeah.
more you work that muscle, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. And just like with physical training, consistency is key. It's not about one grand gesture. It's about those small, consistent efforts over time that build true strength and resilience.
And Goggins is honest about his own struggles, right? He doesn't pretend to have it all figured out. He talks about his own battles with self-doubt, those negative thoughts, and the very human temptation to just give up when things get tough.
He's very upfront about the fact that it's a constant battle, even for someone with his level of mental discipline, and I think that's an important point for listeners to remember. We're all human. We're all going to have setbacks. We're all going to face those moments where we question ourselves and our abilities.
But it's about how we respond to those setbacks, right? Goggins' philosophy is all about getting back up, dusting yourself off, and trying again. It's about learning from those mistakes, adapting, and coming back stronger and more resilient.
He views failure not as the opposite of success, but as a crucial part of the process. It's an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to refine our approach.
And having a strong why, a clear understanding of what truly motivates you, is crucial, wouldn't you say? That's what pushes you to keep going when you hit those inevitable roadblocks.
Absolutely. Your why has to be bigger than your excuses, bigger than your doubts, bigger than your fears. It has to be something that genuinely resonates with you at your core, something that gives your efforts meaning and purpose.
And it's not static, is it? Goggins even acknowledges that his own motivations have shifted and evolved over time as he's encountered new challenges and gained new perspectives.
It's a journey of self-discovery, a continuous process of learning, adapting, and refining our understanding of ourselves and what drives us. And that journey is never truly over. There's always more to learn, more to explore, more to experience.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly pushing the boundaries of his own potential, always seeking out new challenges and new ways to test himself. I think that's what makes Goggins' story so compelling. He's not satisfied with resting on his laurels. He's committed to this ongoing process of growth and evolution.
And that's where things get really interesting. Goggins isn't just providing a blueprint for physical or mental toughness. He's challenging us to re-examine our own definitions of success and happiness. What does it truly mean to live a fulfilling life?
Because let's face it, most of us aren't going to sign up for ultramarathons in Death Valley or push ourselves to the brink of physical collapse. So how do we reconcile his extreme approach with our own lives, our own goals and aspirations?
That's the brilliance of his message. He's not saying we all need to adopt his exact methods. What he's advocating for is a willingness to question our comfort zones, to consider what might be possible if we embrace discomfort as a catalyst for growth.
I'm particularly drawn to his idea of starting at zero. This concept of always being open to learning new things, to being a beginner, to pushing ourselves beyond our current skill set regardless of our age or experience level.
It's about cultivating a growth mindset, believing that we can always improve, that there's always more to learn. Stagnation is the enemy. He gives some great examples in the book. If you're an experienced scuba diver, try freediving. If you're a successful triathlete, learn rock climbing. It's about constantly challenging yourself, expanding your horizons, and refusing to settle for complacency.
And this goes beyond physical challenges, doesn't it? He talks about learning new languages, pursuing another degree, essentially anything that takes you outside of that comfortable, familiar space and forces you to grow and adapt.
Exactly. Learning is a lifelong endeavor, a journey that should never end. It's about embracing new experiences, new knowledge, and new skills.
Which can be daunting, but also incredibly exciting. It's like opening yourself up to a world of possibilities.
That's the beauty of it. It's about recognizing that our potential is limitless if we're willing to put in the effort and embrace the challenges that come with growth.
So if we were to distill Goggins' story down to a few key takeaways, what would you say are the most essential lessons for our listeners to walk away with?
I think it comes down to 4 core principles: self-awareness, discipline, resilience, and purpose. Self-awareness means honestly assessing your strengths and weaknesses, and then actively working to improve in all areas. Discipline means setting clear goals and developing the habits and routines that support those goals. Resilience is about bouncing back from setbacks, viewing failures as opportunities to learn and grow, and refusing to give up on yourself. And finally, purpose is about having a deep understanding of your why, your motivations, what drives you to keep going when things get tough.
It's about weaving these principles into the fabric of your life, right? Not just your fitness or your career, but your relationships, personal growth, your overall well-being.
Absolutely. Goggins' message is about taking ownership of your life, realizing that you have the power to shape your own destiny regardless of the challenges you face.
It's a powerful message, and one that I think can resonate with people from all walks of life, whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, a student, or simply someone looking to live a more fulfilling and intentional life. There's something in Goggins' story that can inspire and motivate you.
In Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, isn't just a one-time read. It's a resource you can return to again and again. It's full of insights, challenges, and practical advice that you can draw on whenever you're feeling stuck, discouraged, or in need of a little push.
So for those of you looking for a dose of inspiration, a kick in the pants, or just a reminder of what's truly possible when you tap into your own inner strength, I highly recommend checking out Can't Hurt Me. It's a journey worth taking.
And as you embark on that journey, consider this. How might Goggins' approach to life challenge your own assumptions about success and happiness? What limitations are you holding yourself back with? What might you achieve if you were willing to push past those perceived boundaries and tap into your full potential?
Those are some great questions to reflect on, and who knows, maybe you'll discover hidden reserves of strength and resilience you never knew you possessed.
That's the power of Goggins' story. It's a reminder that we're all capable of extraordinary things if we're willing to put in the work and commit to becoming the best versions of ourselves.
And that's a wrap for our deep dive into David Goggins' world. But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to share your own takeaways, your own reflections on what resonated with you, what challenged you, what you might do differently going forward.
We're all on this journey of self-discovery together, and the more we share our experiences and insights, the more we learn and grow collectively.
Until next time, keep pushing those boundaries, keep exploring, keep striving to become the best version of yourself.